The sun beat down mercilessly on forward operating base Rhino as Lieutenant Commander Sarah Glenn made her way across the dusty compound. 3 months into her deployment with naval intelligence in Afghanistan, she'd grown accustomed to the weight of her sidearm and the constant vigilance required even within the relative safety of the base. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Space was the easy part, Sarah. It's people that are the real challenge. Being Colonel John Glenn's daughter had never been simple. The first American to orbit Earth expected excellence, and Sarah had delivered, graduating top of her class at MIT before shocking everyone by choosing naval intelligence over NASA. One Glenn in space was enough, she'd told reporters with a practiced smile. What she never mentioned was her hunger for a different kind of frontier. Today, Sarah wore civilian clothes, khaki pants and a simple blue button-down, her blonde hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. The intelligence briefing she carried was classified well above the clearance of most personnel on base, including the SEAL team that had arrived yesterday. Intelligence suggested Taliban forces were gathering in the mountains to the north, possibly protecting a high-value target. The SEALs would need her intel, but protocol demanded she brief their commander first. The cafeteria was crowded when she entered, the air conditioning a blessed relief from the Afghan heat. She spotted the SEALs immediately. They weren't difficult to identify with their bearded faces and the confident way they occupied space. Sarah grabbed a tray and selected a bottle of water and an apple, then found a quiet corner table to review her notes one final time. Quite the welcome committee, eh, boys? A booming voice carried across the room as a tall, broad-shouldered lieutenant entered, clearly the final member of the SEAL team. "Any of you ladies save me a seat?" His teammates laughed, making room as he dropped his tray loaded with enough food for 3 men. Sarah kept her eyes on her papers, but her ears tuned to their conversation. Intelligence gathering was second nature now. "Word is we're heading into the mountains," the lieutenant continued between bites. "Some spook has intel on a gathering of tangos." "That spook would be me," Sarah thought, suppressing a smile. She'd spent 3 weeks coordinating with local assets and analyzing satellite imagery to pinpoint the location. Before that, she'd personally led a night operation to extract a compromised informant from a nearby village, an operation that had required her to use her M4 carbine with deadly precision when their convoy was ambushed. The SEALs' conversation drifted to complaints about working with intelligence officers who'd never seen combat. Sarah felt their eyes occasionally drift toward her. The lone woman in civilian clothes in a corner, clearly not belonging to their world. "Hey, Harvard," the lieutenant called out suddenly, causing Sarah to look up. He was addressing her. "You with the State Department or something? You look lost." Sarah met his gaze calmly. "Just finishing some work before a meeting. What's your rank, if you don't mind me asking?" His tone was joking, clearly expecting her to be a civilian contractor or junior officer at best. Sarah considered her response carefully. In minutes, she would be briefing their commander on an operation that would put all their lives at risk. The intelligence she'd gathered, often at personal risk, would determine their strategy and chances of success. These men needed to trust her judgment, and first impressions mattered. Little did the lieutenant know that his casual question was about to change the entire dynamic in the room. Sarah closed her folder and prepared to answer, unaware that her response would cause the entire cafeteria to fall silent in shock. Sarah's calm voice cut through the cafeteria noise as she replied, "Lieutenant Commander Sarah Glenn, Naval Intelligence." She slid her credentials across the table. "I'll be briefing your team in 30 minutes on Operation Shadowhawk." The lieutenant's cocky smile faltered. "Glenn? As in?" "Yes, Colonel Glenn's daughter." Sarah confirmed, having long ago accepted this would always be the first question. "But more relevantly, I'm the intelligence officer who spent the last 3 months mapping Taliban movements in the Korangal Valley." The cafeteria had grown quieter, conversations dying as personnel recognized the name. Sarah continued, her voice level but firm. "I've personally led 4 night operations behind enemy lines to place surveillance equipment and extract compromised assets. During the most recent extraction, my team was ambushed 5 miles south of our target location. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing a still-healing scar that ran from wrist to elbow. Took this 2 weeks ago. The Taliban fighter who gave it to me won't be hurting anyone else. The lieutenant's face had transformed from amusement to something between respect and embarrassment. Before he could respond, the cafeteria doors swung open and Commander Jackson, the SEAL team leader, entered. His eyes locked on Sarah immediately. "Lieutenant Commander Glenn," he acknowledged with a nod. "I see you've met my team." "Just getting acquainted, Commander," Sarah replied, gathering her materials. "Good, because in 12 hours, you'll be accompanying us into the valley." A murmur rippled through the SEAL team. Intelligence officers typically stayed behind, coordinating from base. "Sir?" the lieutenant questioned. "Lieutenant Commander Glenn speaks Pashto and Dari fluently," Commander Jackson explained, "and she's the only one who's had direct contact with our informant." "The mission parameters have changed." Sarah's pulse quickened. This wasn't part of the plan. "Commander, may I speak with you privately?" In the command center, satellite imagery showed what Sarah had feared. Their primary extraction route was now compromised. Thermal imaging revealed at least 30 Taliban fighters setting up positions along the valley's southern ridge. "They knew we were coming," Sarah said, pointing to the screen. "Someone leaked information?" Commander Jackson's face hardened. "The mission is still a go. That compound contains intelligence on 3 planned attacks on American soil. We need it. With respect, sir, we need a new approach. The original plan is suicide." "What do you suggest, Lieutenant Commander?" Sarah studied the terrain. "We insert here, at night." She pointed to a nearly vertical rock face on the northern side. "It's unwatched because they think it's impassable." "It is impassable," Jackson argued. "Not if you've climbed El Capitan," Sarah countered. "I have. Twice." The commander studied her face, looking for weakness or uncertainty. He found none, and after we get the intelligence, Sarah traced a route through a narrow ravine. "We exit through the Shepherd's Pass. It's barely wide enough for one person, but it leads to this plateau where extraction is possible." "That's a hell of a risk." "Glenn, less risky than walking into an ambush." "Sir." Hours later, under cover of darkness, Sarah found herself scaling the sheer rock face alongside 6 SEALs, including the lieutenant who'd questioned her in the cafeteria. The weight of her weapon and gear made each handhold a test of strength and will. "Not bad for an intelligence officer," the lieutenant whispered as they paused on a narrow ledge. "I'm full of surprises," Sarah replied, checking her night vision goggles. A sudden burst of gunfire erupted below them. Searchlights swept the mountainside as shouts in Pashto echoed through the valley. "They've spotted us," Commander Jackson hissed. "No," Sarah countered, peering through her scope at the commotion below. "They're shooting at something else. Another team." She adjusted her radio frequency and caught fragments of American voices. A Special Forces unit pinned down half a mile away. "Unrelated operation," Jackson concluded. "Not our problem." Sarah met his eyes in the darkness. "Those are our people down there. Our mission is time-sensitive." "If we divert..." "Commander," Sarah interrupted, "I know where the intelligence is kept. I can get it while your team provides support for those soldiers." The tension in the air was palpable as Jackson weighed the impossible choice between mission objectives and leaving fellow Americans to die. Commander Jackson's decision came swiftly. "Split the team. Lieutenant Reeves, take Martinez and Cooper to support the Special Forces unit. Glenn and I will proceed to the compound with Wilson and Ortiz." His eyes locked with Sarah's. "You better be right about that intelligence location." "I am," she affirmed. Checking her weapon, the team separated at the ridge, moving with practiced silence. Sarah led her smaller group through a narrow goat path, their progress slow but steady. The distant gunfire intensified and Sarah fought the urge to look back. Knowing her focus needed to remain forward, the compound appeared deserted when they reached it, a tactical deception she'd anticipated. "2 guards inside," she whispered, pointing to heat signatures on her specialized equipment. "The intelligence is kept in a hidden room beneath the eastern building." Commander Jackson nodded. "Wilson, secure our exit. Ortiz with me on the guards. Glenn, once we clear, you find that intelligence." The operation unfolded with precision until they reached the hidden room. Sarah worked quickly, photographing documents and downloading files while Jackson and Ortiz stood guard. The information was exactly where her source had indicated: attack plans targeting American embassies, complete with names and dates. "We've got what we need," Sarah announced, securing the final flash drive. A sudden explosion rocked the compound. Through her earpiece came Lieutenant Reeves's strained voice. "Commander, Special Forces extraction successful, but we're taking heavy fire." "Martinez's hit. Status?" Jackson demanded. "Bad. We need immediate extraction, but our route is cut off." Sarah pulled up the satellite imagery on her tablet. "There's another way," she said, tracing a path with her finger. "But it's through the compound we're in. They need to come to us." Jackson made the call. "Reeves, fall back to our position. We'll create a diversion." What followed tested every skill Sarah had developed in her career. As Taliban fighters converged on their position, she coordinated their defense, her M4 carbine no longer just a precaution, but a necessity. When a grenade landed near their position, it was Sarah who reacted first, kicking it into a ravine seconds before detonation. Lieutenant Reeves arrived with his team, dragging the wounded Martinez between them. The young SEAL's face was ashen, blood soaking through a makeshift bandage. "Extraction point is compromised," Jackson stated grimly. "We need alternatives." Sarah studied her tablet, mind racing. "There's a village 2 miles north. I have contacts there. People who helped me before. They can shelter us until extraction is possible." "You trust these people with American lives?" Jackson questioned. "I trust them with mine," Sarah replied simply. The journey to the village pushed them all to their limits. Twice they encountered enemy patrols, and twice they were forced to engage. Sarah moved with the confidence of someone who'd done this before, her actions speaking louder than any credentials. Dawn was breaking when they reached the village. An elderly man met them at the outskirts, exchanging rapid Pashto with Sarah, before ushering them into a hidden cellar beneath his home. Martinez received medical attention from the village doctor while Sarah established communications with base. "Extraction in 6 hours, she announced finally. "Helicopter will come at dusk." Lieutenant Reeves approached her as she monitored communications. The cockiness was gone from his face, replaced by something more valuable: respect. "You know," he said quietly, "when I saw you in that cafeteria, I thought you were just another desk officer playing at war." Sarah continued her work without looking up. "And now I know better." He hesitated. "Your father would be proud." Sarah finally met his gaze. "My father taught me that courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what's necessary despite it." As dusk approached, they prepared to move. The intelligence Sarah had secured was already being analyzed back at base. 3 terrorist attacks prevented before they could begin. Martinez was stabilized, his condition serious but no longer critical. Commander Jackson gathered the team before they left the village. "What happened here doesn't go in the official report," he stated. The risks Lieutenant Commander Glenn took, the calls she made, they were beyond her mission parameters. By the book, she should be reprimanded. The team remained silent, waiting. Instead, Jackson continued, "I'm recommending her for the Silver Star. Not that anyone outside this room will ever know the full story." As the distant sound of helicopter rotors grew louder, Sarah thought about the cafeteria scene that now seemed a lifetime ago. The young lieutenant who jokingly asked for her rank had no idea what the question would set in motion, not just a mission, but a transformation in how these elite warriors viewed intelligence officers, and perhaps more importantly, women in combat roles. When they finally boarded the helicopter, Sarah took one last look at the mountains that had nearly claimed their lives. Her father had seen Earth from space, witnessing its beauty and fragility from a distance. She had seen its harsh realities up close, the courage, cruelty, and compassion that defined humanity in its most extreme moments. Both perspectives, she realized, were necessary to understand the world they were fighting to protect.